Yes, which was pretty awesome. Some of them were
Off the top of my head, compared.
You are now listening to the Voices of Dubai.
You're listening
Watching The Voices of Dubai with Joe Hage.
This is the Voices of Dubai.
Maria, welcome to the Voices of Dubai. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This
It's
is
a
very
pleasure.
exciting.
Yes, it is. And we had, for all our viewers and listeners, Maria is the legendary Ron Bagnulo's daughter. You had big shoes to fill, and I don't know, I can confidently say that you definitely filled them.
I don't know if it's about filling shoes. I think we're very different. I mean, he's clearly a very masculine. He does, he's very good at doing what he does. But I suppose I just sort of have inherited some of the talent, but in a feminine.
Absolutely, absolutely. And have you seen him record voiceovers throughout your childhood?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, constantly. Like whenever he was in the studio, he would take me with him. And I mean, that's how I got into it.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go a bit more in detail in a few seconds. I just want to introduce you to everyone. And the first time we met actually was in 2015. I don't know if you remember, I was working as a sound engineer at Montage TV Productions.
Yes, I remember.
And you came in for a session for Dove. You came in at least 3 times a week, like the schedule. I always saw like Maria. It's like, wow, like why don't we just get a mattress here? And so yeah, since then we've had the opportunity of working on so many different projects throughout the years. And here we are today.
Yes, I think, more than 11 years later. Or no, 9 years later, sorry.
Crazy.
Crazy.
So Maria, I'm curious, do you remember your first voiceover session ever?
I do. My first voiceover session was for Maybelline. My dad brought me into the studio in Creative Force. I think this was in 2000.
Wow.
And it was a small part. I think I had to answer the phone. It was sort of something like a parody of Scream, which was a popular movie.
Yeah.
And I had to answer the phone and do the scared, hello, and then, I won't scream that loud now because it's a bit offensive, but that's what I had to do.
Wow.
And apparently I did it well, so I got called back again for other stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So 24 years ago.
Yeah. I give my age away.
Wow. No, maybe you started when you were 7.
I'm seasoned.
So since then, Maria, like after that session, after that first experience for you, did you find that you naturally gravitated toward these kinds of projects? Like, did you like that experience so much that it sparked this interest inside you to continue?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I had been performing since a young kid. Mm-hmm. I used to do lots of shows like acting and singing and dancing and stuff like that. And I was a very shy child. I would barely speak. Like, I think up until the age of 10, I was very shy.
Really?
Yeah, but then also at the same time, I had this personality that if you put me on the stage, I would just be a completely different person, and then it would go back to sort of the quiet girl.
Wow.
But I was always very animated. Obviously, got that from my dad. All my brothers and sisters, we lived in lots of different countries, and so you hear a lot of different accents. And I always used to like mimic the accent. I always find it interesting how different people speak, and you can tell a language. Somebody speaking, even if you don't speak it, more from the tone than from the actual words. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed that. And so I guess that kind of gave me that kind of ear for sound. And obviously, I think it's inherited. It's kind of, I think some people have, like some people are more musically inclined. Some people are more, they can draw, which I definitely cannot do. But yeah, for me, it's definitely in the ears.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And I'm curious because there's one thing that I noticed about you from the first session up until all the other sessions that we recorded together throughout the years. You're one of the few talents that I actually see taking a deep breath right before they start recording.
Yeah.
Like you would really go like...
I still do.
And you can hear it in the mic, and it's very interesting. I find that really interesting. Is that some kind of technique you use to get you in a calm state before you start recording?
Yeah, it's twofold. It's just something that came to me naturally. Nobody told me to do it, or I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way. I don't know if it's worse or better for you. It's just something that works for me. I like to take a deep breath because I like to deliver in one go. I don't like to sort of have to breathe again. And yeah, it's very relaxing. And you notice when you take a huge, big, deep breath, you'll suddenly be more articulate of what you say coming through, because you're not kind of like thinking to take a pause. And oftentimes you'll find voiceovers can be like clipped if you haven't sort of. I'll usually do that. I'll be like rolling, and then go for it.
And then one shot wonder.
Yeah, at least if you can get the full sentence done. I mean, you know how the scripts go. Like sometimes you get a script that has, 30 words and 100 syllables. And so you're not even counting for the words. A lot of words have like 3 or 4 syllables. And each of those is a pause, which takes breath. So you want to try to be as smooth and easy with it, and then also take your time. So,
Not to mention that I'm sure you've experienced that as well. A client comes with a script that looks like a full 1 page, and it's like, that's a 30-second. And you're like, what? That looks like a 2-minute script, easy. No, it's 30 seconds. You can do it.
Yeah, that happens. That happens often. And it's fair enough. I get it, because if a copywriter hasn't had enough sort of voiceover experience, and a lot of them are writing copy for, ads, as in advertisements on social media, and they want you to say the same thing. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You can't just read out the whole, it has to be adapted. So usually people are pretty good. I mean, I've been around doing it for a long time, so I usually kind of give suggestions on how we can make it better, and usually works out, and it's smoother. And most people are quite easygoing about that.
Sure. So, I mean, obviously we spoke about your dad, Ron, being an influence for your voiceover career. And you just mentioned that you also studied performing arts.
Not studied, just engaged in.
Engaged in, okay, yeah, that's the right word. Were there any other influences that really gave you that extra kick to just go and do it?
I think I was lucky. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I'm, the best voice artist and I just got chosen for all these. I was like, no, I was in the right place at the right time. I have a good voice. I know how to use it. And I don't necessarily, I'm the first one to say, I don't think I have a particularly good speaking voice when I talk to my friends, or, it's just very average, but I know how to do it behind the mic. And that's all it is. Like, I think I saw one of your podcasts and you were saying, it's not who has, the best voice or anything. It's knowing how to use your voice.
Absolutely.
I would tell you 100 times. I have brought many friends in and I thought, oh, you could do this. And a lot of people are interested in it. So I'm very supportive. I think there's enough room for everyone in the industry. It's like, the more the merrier. Like, there's enough work to go around. You don't need to sort of just keep your little area.
Sure.
So I've brought a lot of friends in, and sometimes somebody that I've thought has like a great speaking voice, when you put them behind the mic, sometimes it just doesn't translate. So it's kind of, it's acting. It is acting in a way. Yeah. So back to your point, which was, I forgot now.
If there were any other external influences.
Influences. I think I've always liked old movies, for sure. And you kind of see those old stars. And if you look at, like Katharine Hepburn, the way she talks, it's like that. And it's fascinating. And you see, and I think especially in the old movies, they would use their accent a lot more. And you would have that sort of old movie accent, which was only for actors. Like, it didn't exist, this transatlantic accent for news people, actors. It didn't exist sort of in everyday life. So I think I used to watch a lot of old movies. And then other influences, I think just the people around me. I sometimes see somebody who's very animated. My older brother is a very animated person. Yeah. And I think he's the one who got me into like doing accents a lot, because he would be very good at mimicking an accent wherever we were. and even sort of, he has that sort of physical comedian
Sure.
as well. So he would morph into it. So suddenly, somebody's like doing with a French accent, all of a sudden your face changes, or or if you're doing in Australia or something, your whole body changes.
Sure,
it's
sure.
like your facial expression, right? And so definitely he influenced me a lot, and I would mimic him, and whatever he did, I just do it back, and then we would have fun doing it together. It was like our jokes between us. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you mentioned earlier, and I was surprised to hear that, pleasantly surprised actually, that you were more of a reserved type of person. Would you say you're more of an introvert in general?
I think yeah. So I think people have it confused, or what I've read. I'm not an expert. Disclaimer. But they say that an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you're a quiet person, but it means that you recharge. You need your quiet time to recharge so that you can be an extrovert. So I think definitely, I'm kind of ambivert. I can do both. I definitely, as a youngster, I was 100% introvert, and as I've grown older, it was definitely much more extrovert. And this helps. I mean, being in the radio, and it's nerve-wracking, especially when you're young and you're not very confident and you don't have the skills behind you. To come into a studio and tell people, you don't tell them, but to command the room and listen to your voice, and there's criticism. People criticize you a lot. You go into a voiceover, people are paying, people are there for a business. They've got to meet their deadline, they've got to go within budget, there's a studio time, there's a lot of things to consider, and then you're the one who has to deliver. So
would you say that having all those sessions now, like for all those years, would you say that also helped you shape your personality and build your confidence also?
Yes, for sure. I think there's a part of me, and it's funny because you say that. It's a very hidden part of anyone's life. It's voiceovers were behind the radio. Nobody knows it's like this. I was just telling you, I'm not used to being in the camera. I'm used to being behind the mic. And being behind the mic, you can be loud and and nobody actually sees you. So it's kind of same in your real life, is that I know people for years before they actually know I'm a voice artist.
Yeah.
So unless I tell them, and sometimes I forget to tell them, because we're all busy. I mean, I do have another job, and I think most voice artists are like this, in Dubai particularly. And so, yeah, in some ways, it has shaped a personality. I do have that quiet confidence because I know what I'm capable of. And certainly now at this level, I don't have that same insecurities as, when I started 24 years ago. Now I'm very confident. If I walk into a room, I know I'm going to deliver it, quicker than any other voice artist. I know I'm going to, get it done. And if it's not good, I'll fix it. You kind of know after a while of doing it, what's going to work and what's not going to work. Even if the client sometimes is happy, I'll be like, no, let me just make it for you and you can choose.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we all learn those kind of lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it brings me to my next question. In terms of overcoming self-doubt and imposter syndrome, I mean, we've all experienced that at one point in our careers, and probably in the future in other ventures that we experience for the first time. How have you dealt with imposter syndrome or feelings of self-doubt?
Well, you just have to keep going forward. There's no other option. I think, like my dad always tells me, he's like, when there's no choice, there's no problem. You just...
Wow. Another piece of wisdom from Maria Bagnulo.
Yes. And I don't know, it's one of those things. I do have moments sometimes, I have to say. I mean, it still sometimes comes out of nowhere. I think this is true of anyone. It doesn't matter how good you are in your field. There's always this like flash sometimes. It doesn't happen often, luckily. But every once in a while you get behind and you're like, oh, can I do this?
Yeah.
Is this? And then, you just have to do it. I mean, what a failure is actually just not doing it. It's like lack of action. So action is what you need. And what's the worst that can happen? You didn't do it good on the first go, you do it again. Like,
exactly.
It's okay.
Take two.
Yeah.
Take two, or editing, like.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I always think about, how the voiceover artists did it back in like the 30s and the 40s. They didn't have editing. They did live voiceovers on the radio. So the radio host would go in, and then the voice artist would be in the studio and do the ad, like straight up. No editing, to the jingle, on beat, on time, exactly. So, I mean, that's real talent. We're spoiled these days. We can, we can do a couple takes and and pick the best, bits that the client likes. But to actually deliver it like spot on every single time and repeat it that. So, I mean, yeah.
We are spoiled. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like when you're, I'm sure you've experienced that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes when you're reading a script, and we both read it in our minds, like you read it first in your mind, and then you deliver it the way that you think it should be delivered. But also, like sometimes what you think is right might be the complete different way of reading that the client had in mind. So that also can sometimes cause a bit of, miscommunication in a session. And I feel like the more you get through these situations of uncomfort or, discomfort, the more you're able to deal with them easily. You build that resilience for recording sessions, for feedbacks from clients, from negative comments sometimes. I don't know. That personally worked for me, like the more you hear stuff and the more you learn not to take it personally.
Oh, no, yeah.
It just...
No, nothing's personal. It feels like it at the moment. I think actors probably must go through that when you're doing something, and it's like, sometimes there's somebody who's just, it doesn't happen often, but once in a while you get a client who is just, really doesn't have it. I remember I was doing one. I think that I had grown my confidence at this stage, but I remember I had one client. And I was recording, and I really did think I was giving it my all. It was a serious corporate organization, high level, very high level, and I had really given my all. And then sent it to the client. I was like, wow, they're really going to be happy. They called the client, and in the other end of the phone, they went to the next room. The woman was shouting, "What is she doing to this script? She's not right for this job." I was like, okay. I was like, and then she just doesn't like my voice.
Yeah.
Like, that's fair enough. We're,
sure.
It's subjective. So
sure.
If it's not working for what she wants, I don't need to take it personally. I'm quite happy with my voice, and I have a lot of people who are. Once in a while, you're going to get someone. I just couldn't believe the degree to her dislike.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine. I think you should get someone else.
Yeah. Did they end up going with someone else, or did they ask you to change your delivery?
I didn't follow up.
Okay. Well, their loss.
But yeah, no, I've had a lot of positive experiences. That's the only time that it was very extreme. I've never had that. Usually, my client leaves very satisfied.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was just it was a fluke. But hey, it can happen. But just don't let it get to you.
Sure.
For sure.
And how did you go about not letting it get to you? Because an experience like that, you hear the client saying, "What kind of voice is that?" You're like, "Whoa, you picked me from my demos, right? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah, and it was a particular video that they had selected, and I did it in that style. Sometimes they send you, we want it in this style. And I was like, okay. But no, I don't. At that stage, I had already, had a lot, under my belt. So it wasn't, I was just like, what you gonna do?
It is what it is.
I do, I gave it my best shot.
Yeah. I want to go back to get some background, a bit more background about you, if you don't mind. Before all the voiceovers, before everything, can you tell us a bit more about you, like about your childhood, or where you grew up, and how that shaped the person that you are today?
Yeah, so I was born in Dubai. In
the voices of Dubai.
In Dira. My first breath was taken in Dira in Maktoum Hospital.
Wow.
All those other fancy kids were born in Rashid Hospital. No, not me. And so I lived here until I was quite young, I think about 6 years old. And then we moved to Europe. And so we were living in London, in Belgium, in Germany, Hungary, Poland. And European accents are, very different. So,
Yeah.
especially if you're communicating in English. And then I moved to South Africa, and then I was in Kenya, and then as a teenager I moved back to Dubai, and then went off to study in London. So my background is, whilst my parents are American, I've never actually lived there, and I sound American, which is ironic because when I go to America, people are like, "Oh wow, your accent is so good," and I'm like, "It's actually funny. I sell my voice for a living, but I'm like, I hope so." And I think especially living in Dubai is such a melting pot of cultures, and everyone speaks English here, and that's very unusual to have a country that majority of people come from a different country, but they all communicate in English for the most part. I mean, I know there's there's obviously large Arabic sort of expats. There's a lot of Indian expats. Obviously, they communicate with each other. But when you're trying to make yourself known between an Indian and an Arab person, they communicate in English. And you're speaking to a French person, you're communicating in Italian. So everyone here has a way of making themselves understood. Sometimes we adopt the other person's lingo to like make ourselves understood, which is cute. I think it's funny. They have this thing. It's called like Dinglish, Dubai English, and we all use the words in day to day. It's only in Dubai these things exist, and it's hilarious. Can
you give us an example of Dinglish?
I'm coming just now, or it's. Put me on the spot. I'm trying to think of something. There's so many things. I'm like, my mind has gone blank.
Yeah.
But I'll come back to it.
Yeah, sure.
There's so many things, like phrases we use throughout the day. Or, you answer the phone and you're like, tell me.
Yeah, tell me, yeah. Or, yalla, let's go.
Yalla, let's go. We mix, exactly.
Yeah. Khalas, it's done.
It's done. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. Indians, Filipino, everything. We all use the same, just to makes it work. And it's kind of, it's cute. They should make T-shirts out of this kind of, like we should do a Dinglish dictionary.
Yeah, I speak Dinglish.
Yeah. There was actually a while ago, I think in the newspaper, in Gulf News, there was somebody who had kind of like a Dinglish dictionary,
really?
An English word of the day.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it was years ago, something like that. Because there is so many, and I think people on Instagram, it's like, "Yalla Habibi, come to Dubai."
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
now a thing.
Yeah, Habibi, come to Dubai. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine from Montreal, have visited Dubai recently, and it's funny because on their posts, they kept posting stuff like amazing pictures of like tourist attractions, etc. And then, "Okay, Habibi, I came to Dubai." That would be the tagline.
It's very clever. I don't know who started it, but in a weird way, it is actually really, really kind of solidifying Dubai culture. Like, I don't want to say UAE culture, because obviously the UAE is the country, but it's particular to Dubai. I don't know. It's just like, it's a city kind of like culture vibe.
Yeah.
But I think definitely, like growing up like you as well in the UAE, I think it's a phenomenon. It's something that no generation kind of really did before. Maybe like small pockets, I think maybe in probably Hong Kong or Singapore, things like that. But it's not the same, I think, as Dubai, because those populations of the local population is actually much larger. And so you end up sort of
having to adapt,
being drawn to that, whereas Dubai has always been such a melting pot of cultures, and so we all just kind of make it work. And we all want to make ourselves understood, so we adapt our accents, we adapt our voices, we adapt the way we behave to, who you're talking, depending on who you're talking to. Like we understand if you're talking to an Asian person, this is kind of, this is the way they understand things. If you're talking to an Arab person, this, you'll raise your voice more, you'll be more animated, like, or it's something.
Use your hands.
Use your hands.
Yeah.
If you're, it's just different. But I think it's almost like a natural. It's innate in us. It's instinctual. It's not something I think about it until you ask me the question, but it's instinctual. You're just kind of, you go with it, right?
Yeah. Beautifully said, by the way. And I can absolutely relate to everything you said. I was born and raised in the UAE as well, Abu Dhabi, Corniche Hospital. And I was lucky to be in a school that boasted 52 nationalities.
Wow.
Yeah, like the French school in Abu Dhabi, Lycée Louis Massignon, was amazing for that. We had people from everywhere. When I turned 18 and finished school, I moved to Montreal, which is also another melting pot.
Yeah.
But like you said, nothing compares to the UAE in that sense. You know, nothing compares. It was still a melting pot over there, but that melting pot was somehow a salad bowl more than a melting pot, if you know what I mean. So salad bowls, you have the corn here, the lettuce here, the tomato. Yeah. Whereas here, it's literally a melting pot. Everything is together like a soup.
Yeah.
And I could definitely relate to that. And it's beautiful, you know, what we have here and the opportunities that gives us, what we can learn from other cultures. I think that's great. Great.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's funny you say that. You know how, like, in New York or other areas, I mean, maybe not now, but there was always, you know, different areas, like Little Italy or Chinatown, or, you know, where pockets of, which is natural sort of migration, where people would kind of go where, you know, they were used to. I mean, I think even San Francisco, whereas in Dubai, we don't have that. In Dubai, we all live, like, everywhere.
Yeah, true.
So it's the, you know, and like in even in Sydney, I've been to Sydney, you all go to places and the entire area is just only Chinese, like particularly Chinese, not mixed with Vietnamese or Thai, no, just Chinese.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously that's more comfortable if you're Chinese, you want to go be with, you know, more Chinese people, whereas in Dubai we're just so. You can go to one area and you'll have, you know, in neighbors, you'll have an Italian, a French, an Indian, an English, whatever, Australian, Filipino, all in, like, those are your neighbors. And so you'll have gatherings and it's like everybody's mixed in.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to come back to voiceover and voiceover acting as well. What do you think makes you stand out as a professional voiceover talent?
Oh. I don't know. It's one of those things I never really thought, oh wow, you know, I have such great talent or anything. I think I got lucky, as I was saying before. I was in the right place at the right time, and I was given a lot of opportunity. So I'm not saying my dad came and was like, make my daughter a voice artist. Absolutely not. I started out very, very minimal. I was doing very few, but all I needed was just like a few demos. And once people heard them, then they were like, oh, this is the voice we're looking for. As a younger voice, I think I wasn't as popular. And that's, you know, you kind of mature into your voice. So when you're teenagers, you're not going to sound the same as, you know, when you're 25 or 30. And so usually I would get into those kind of younger ads, you know, whether it was, you know, for a teenage deodorant or, you know, Nivea or
Rexona.
Yeah, Rexona. Yes.
I remember your Rexona ad actually.
Yes. I did Fa as well, and I did, you know, those Garnier, like all these kind of younger fun brands, and then it started to snowball. It snowballed once I was known as somebody who was able to do a voiceover. It really took off, and then I guess I was very good at adapting. I was a very good mimic, and so I would sort of learn from the last one and see, okay, where I could have done this better. You know, I can improve in this, and then, you know, I started to experiment more with, you know, using like deeper voices and older. So, you know, I didn't have that, you know, husky voice before, and, you know, oh, come to our showroom to see Alfa Romeo cars. No, it wasn't that. It was, you know, it started, join the 14-day program. You know, it was very young and fun. And then I started to experiment. And then also, so I got categorized into the older category as well as being able to do the younger category, which was versatility, really.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing I would say is what's made me successful.
Versatility.
Not versatility in accents. I maintain always, people ask me, they're like, can you do a British? Can you do an Australian? Can you do a French? Can you do an Italian? And I would say, my advice to any voiceover artist, unless you're really, really, really natural, like really good, you may think you are, but when you're behind the mic, it does not sound good.
Yeah.
I can tell, like I hear sometimes on the radio, someone's doing like an Italian or French or something, and they're not. Just get a French person to speak English is fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't come out very well. It sounds like you're making fun of the accent.
Sure.
So I always recommend steer clear. I think you can tone your accent within your range. Like say for instance, sometimes I get told don't be so American. So I can be a little more, softer on the edges. Not so much like you just keep it neutral.
Yeah.
So then it does. But I wouldn't sell it. I would be like, oh no, I'm doing an English accent. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I think unless you're actually brilliant at it, who's that actor who wins all the Oscars? He's excellent. He's
At accents and impersonate Jim Carrey?
And Jim Carrey's good too, but even Jim Carrey, I would not sell Jim Carrey's voice. See what I mean? You see the difference?
Yeah.
As who's the other guy, the redhead? He's also an X-Men. He's very good. I'll get to his name. I'll figure it out.
We will.
But he's very natural. Like you would not. It's seamless. You would not tell that he's not from another country. Jim Carrey does it. He does it brilliantly, but you can tell
From his face, right?
it's not. Even when he speaks it, it's too animated. It's too much, And that's what people want to do when they want to do another accent because they're putting it on, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say steer clear for the majority of people. I think there's a few exceptions to the rule, but that would yeah. So I would say versatility would be my sort of biggest strength.
Awesome. It's funny because while you were talking about someone doing an Italian accent and then you said French, and I just remembered the countless sessions where I've been booked to speak English with a French accent for the Louvre Museum.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say I got it to perfection, but to be surrounded with French people for 18 years of my life.
But you speak French at least.
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
and I speak fluently.
Yeah.
It's funny, to have that sort of opportunity in Dubai again.
Yeah.
We're in Dubai and I was
bizarre?
asked to voice in English with a French accent. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Another awesome thing about Dubai is like the opportunities in different languages as well, in terms of voicing.
Yeah.
I find that really great.
That's very cool. But you see, you can do it because you are, like it's different.
Yeah.
You are kind of French.
Yeah.
But no, if I came and did it, it would be like mocking
Yeah,
the accent.
it would sound
It
offensive.
would be offensive. So I don't recommend doing that generally.
Yeah.
So every time people go, "Can you do the accent?" I'm like, "I can do it, but I'm not going to give it to you."
But I won't. Maria, you've recorded for some of the biggest brands across the globe and locally, and if I start naming them now, we're going to finish the episode with names, and so I'm just going to say a couple: Maybelline, Dove, Nivea, Rexona, Alfa Romeo, OSN.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop at that. McDonald's. Has any of these sessions, or was there any session in particular that really stood out for you in terms of, I don't know, the client being super easy, or the ad you were doing was like super fun for you, or the experience in general was fun? Was there a session like that for you?
To be honest, I love doing voiceovers. It's actually something for me that doesn't feel like work at all. It's breezy, it's easy. I love it's almost like the satisfying output, of delivering a voice. I would have to say there's been a few which have been, it's usually when it's something that stretches what I'm able to do. Like say, for instance, the industry's changed a lot since I started. It was first I started in radio is how most of the ads were. And then it was like television commercials. And doing television commercials was like, wow, I really made it.
Yeah.
And then I went on to OSN, which was the broadcasting. So then I was doing all their commercial, breaks. And the thing is that it changed a lot. In sort of over my career, from being male-dominated to female-dominated. Like I took a lot of jobs from my dad. I was started to, especially when it came to cars. So I had done, I've done Volvo, I've done VW, I've done Alfa Romeo. So I've done a lot of car ones, and that's a huge shift to actually get the advertisers to start, and it wasn't like I was doing girl cars. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, you know, I mean, I did do Fiat as well. Yes,
Yeah.
I have done Fiat. So, but that's neither here nor there. Where it's a men's car or a girl's car, but it wasn't like kind of like fluffy, like, oh, you know, you can drive away with your Prius today. No.
Yeah.
So that was very exciting. So when I get one of those, I'm kind of like, ooh, wow, okay, this is unusual. And then I'd also like to think that I have a hand in it, that I'm like, they just heard my voice was so great. And they were like, that's the car.
We have to have you.
No, in all seriousness, I would have to say also, like with OSN, my dad was actually doing OSN.
Yes.
And they stopped using him. Well, not they stopped using him, but they started to want to introduce a girl. And so they chose me. So it was kind of, we would compete, not compete, but we were working a lot. And a lot of times I would get way more of the work than he did.
That's awesome.
And so OSN was very exciting. I loved doing it. I would go in at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Wow.
That was quite a big sessions because you have to do kind of like, and coming up after the break, and you'd give the list of programs, and then also every show had its own VO.
Yeah.
So
Saturday at 9 p.m. on OSN.
Yeah, it was all that kind of like, she was just a girl. And she didn't know what to do. And it was like, there was a lot of funny, like the scripts, we would have like the sound engineer and the copywriter in there. And I was like, this is good stuff. This is gold, guys. Yeah. But we'd have fun with it. And so that was quite fun. So yeah, I would say that definitely the OSN broadcasting. And then these days, the industry has changed completely. So it's no longer kind of that traditional broadcasting on OSN. Now it's digital. So we have, YouTubes and podcasts, which are filmed. I thought they're just supposed to be listened to.
We have the audio version as well.
And then you have sort of all this social media, so everything. So sometimes, and then people are doing different things. They're doing reels, and you just have a few. They want things snappy. You're not going to have some big, major delivery. And then you have now corporates. Corporates are delivering sort of big presentations, digitally or on their, their PowerPoints. So yeah, it's changed a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear that. And it's so true, like I could see it from a producer's perspective as well. Also, another factor contributing to that massive change, in my opinion, was definitely COVID. So pre-COVID, as you know, we used to go to studios like on a daily
Every day,
basis. Yeah. Meet people, you'd get the copywriter, the client, the producer, the client servicing, the client himself, or someone over the phone that you need to put the phone next to the speaker to get an approval, whatever.
Yeah. I forgot that.
I
forgot, yeah.
That was in 2015. I still remember, taking the phone, listen to this. Put it on the monitor, and honestly, he's like, approved.
I forgot that.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
And now we move to Google Meets, Zoom, Session Link Pro, etc. How did you adapt to these changes?
Oh, right away. It's just, unnecessary. I remember I had a sound engineer who's a good friend, and he had recommended me a certain mic because it was literally, I think lockdown was the 26th of March here, and it was the 25th. And I went, and just thank God, Virgin stores had this mic that I needed. And I was like, if I don't get this, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do another voiceover. So I ran in there, and I think I was the last customer. I ran out, went home, and I just had to figure it out. And, connected and do all those things, and it, in desperation. So I did, and it was great. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was a lot. It was very different, and I felt a bit nervous at first, but it just went so smoothly, and it was also much more relaxing. Because getting to the studios and through traffic and getting in and and
parking, elevators.
You're rushing in the client and stuff, and you don't want to disappoint anyone. And you're the elevators. You remember the elevators? Oh my God, that one building was just.
Which one? Wait, which one? There are two in my head.
It's Soundstruck.
Yeah, Damak Executive Heights. But wait, there's worse. There is worse.
No.
Shatta Tower, Mango Jam.
Oh,
there are 8 elevators, and you still wait half an hour sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
haven't actually attended there in a long time, but I do a lot of work with them. But yeah, no, it was great. And then I realized that this could be done, and I was like, why would I do it any other way? Because you're at home, you're relaxed, you're in a safe space, you can deliver at ease. And then it's also easier, I think, for the client and other people, because everyone's online and everyone gets to comment. It doesn't really take away anything from the recording, because everyone kind of gets to do their input. They're hearing it live. The sound engineer is working on the other end. I think he has the hardest job sometimes. I think, sound
playing
engineer
back in high quality over
and
the call.
actually, and then adjusting on spot. I mean, sound engineers are amazing people. I always wonder how they do that. It's like fixing it on the spot to the voice, to match it to exactly to the music within the time, within the frame, so the word hits exactly. I mean, and they do it so fast. I don't know if anyone's not familiar with the voiceover world. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's a serious skill.
Absolutely.
Which I don't have, and I wish I did. Maybe I should go to school.
No, it's never too late, right? That could be your next skill.
A sound engineer and voice artist.
Boom.
I would be lethal.
Boom. Maria, I'm curious. You currently work as a digital marketing professional, correct?
Yes, yes.
How would you say, I mean, in what ways has your voiceover career affected your digital marketing career? Or was it the other way around?
I think I've always been creative, and marketing is something that I fell into after my studies. I studied international relations, go figure, and communication.
I study engineering.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
nothing to do as well.
And then I just kind of like gravitated towards those roles and communication. Especially, I've done a lot of content. I'm a communications manager for like 7 years. So it was writing newsletters, doing social media, so. I think I'm not sure which one influenced which, but definitely when it comes to writing content in a voiceover world, you have to be very precise. So whether that's kind of not correcting, but adjusting other people's work so that actually you get your message across. Being a voice is literally making yourself understood and getting people to understand what your message is. Communications is the same. So it's just whether you're writing or I've done quite a bit of copywriting as well for radio and television, commercials and things like that, doing different scripts. And even I struggle with it sometimes. It's, if you're writing it and I have to say it first before, and then I'll be like, no, it doesn't work. Okay, so you make the edits. Yeah. But I think I don't know which one came before the other. It's like the chicken and egg. I don't know.
Yeah. But they definitely contributed to each other in a way.
For sure, for sure. I think it's all in the same family.
So, Maria, I'm curious.
Okay.
After all the different sessions that you've done throughout your impressive career, we're talking radio ads, IVRs, TV commercials, online commercials, etc., etc. If someone were to come up to you now and ask you, Maria, what's the best way for me to get into the voiceover industry as fast as possible and be as efficient and effective as possible at marketing myself? What would you tell them?
Marketing yourself. I think so. I think just sort of, have a good demo in place, for sure. And then just keep sharing your demo everywhere. And don't get discouraged if you don't get any callbacks. To this day, I've been doing this for years and years, and I'm very good. I'm very confident that I'm very good at what I do. But I can still not have anybody call me for a month at a time sometimes. And then I'll have 4 people call me every day for a month. So, you just have to keep going. And whether you choose to, promote yourself on social media, personally, I don't. I probably need to get better at that. I think I haven't had, I'm a bit spoiled. I haven't had to in a way. So the jobs kind of have always come to me. But I would say, for sure, just keep going, keep knocking on the doors, keep trying, and don't get down, don't get discouraged, don't think it. It's like I told you with the lady who's like her voice is terrible. I'm like, well, there's somebody else who's going to think your voice is great, and it's fine, and keep going. And the chances are your voice is probably great because if you have come this far, it's, and it's not even about, having the best voice, like I said before. It's not like, oh, you need to have this certain thing. It's about being able to deliver something in the style that the person opposite you wants. It's not about you. It's about, unfortunately, until you make your own sort of, storybook, then you can say it however you want. But you have to understand that the client is the one who they have a project, they have a certain idea in mind, and you're trying to help them create that and deliver it. And so just keep doing that. Be nice, It's don't have an ego at all. If somebody asks you to record it 50 times, you just say, okay, obviously within, the parameters, as long as it's not, overstepping or anything. But oftentimes you'll find that people are very responsive. Sometimes if I offer it ahead of people, if somebody's having a bad day, I've had clients who have had horrendous days, and they come in and they take it out on me, and I know it's not personal. That can't possibly be me because I didn't do anything. I was just trying to
I'm just trying to voice something here.
So sometimes you do get that, or you get a couple of them who think they're the director of the issue. You get a couple of Martin Scorsese's coming. I'm like, whoa, this is a voiceover.
Let's take a step back here.
I know, it's like for something really I don't know, cleaning detergent. There's only so many ways to make that floor sparkle. Like the script reads itself.
Sure.
But you will have people like that. You have days like that. Sometimes to deal with, if I'm having a difficult client, I'll just sort of ask them. And it helps them to know that you're on board rather than you're just responding.
Sure.
So be like, how about if we do this? Maybe this can work. Let's try to work together for, how about if I do this for you? Maybe you could try out if I do it in this style. And so suddenly you'll see people kind of like, oh, okay. So,
she's trying to help. And
we're trying to work this together. It's not you against me. So sometimes you will have those situations. It's not often, but every once in a while. And then sometimes if someone comes in and they're Martin Scorsese or whatever, I just let them go for it. Because, how often do you get to be, the powerful one in the room, the director in the room? So it's like, have his moment. It's an hour. I'm a voice artist. Oh, you want it like that? Really? Okay. So sad, but excited.
go figure.
There's the amount of, I don't know if anyone else has touched in this, but you'll get so many times, no, we need super energetic, but compassionate. And I'm like,
okay.
These are different, that's kind of, if it's a clinic or something, get excited about coming. And I'm like, but compassionate and reliable. I'm like, those are, you can't get too excited. Come to our clinic and then you can be. I'm like, okay.
It's funny you say that, and it's very accurate. Danielle spoke about this as well. And I think it comes back to, like you were saying, focusing on giving value and delivering a great service to the client. And part of that, in some sessions, is also to decipher what the client means by their feedback. So, like you just said, be more energetic but compassionate. So, if I heard that, for example, it's like two opposing tones in my head, But I would ask them, okay, do you mean you want me to add a smile to it and use a warmer tone, but with a smile? And they're like, yes, exactly. Can we try that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And you give them a tick and they're like, okay, that was great. Just like emphasize these words. So in a way, like from my personal experience, sometimes it's deciphering the feedback from the client and trying to guess what they're trying to tell you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to. You're supporting them deliver this thing that doesn't exist yet. Yeah. So
and it's like you said, they're hiring you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're the one delivering the service, so you want to be there to help them, and not like I'm the voice actor, I have an ego, and I'm not going to record this for you.
Absolutely not. No, it's just it's their show.
Yeah, absolutely.
They always ask me at the end, they're always like, oh, are you happy with it? And I'm like, I'm happy if you're happy.
Yeah, that's the best sentence to end it, right? I'm happy if you're happy.
We're so cheesy in the voiceover world.
I know.
It's hilarious.
I know. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah.
Cringe-worthy.
Cringe, yeah. Speaking of cringe, so especially when I started my career, I think in the UAE, the sort of ad world was not as sort of just a little more edgy. It was very obvious. I think maybe the rest of the world was. It was kind of that real sell ad, Come to our showroom and da-da-da, it was that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think I've had some voiceovers where sometimes we've had clients and I'm screaming. I mean, it's offensive. Like I'm going, for one offer, one-time sale, come to our, and I'm like, and then people are like, no, we need more excited. It doesn't sound very exciting. And I'm like, guys, I'm going to throw my back out if I do it anymore. I'm like, and I was like, guys, if I heard that on the radio, I'm going to be really honest with you. I would turn it off.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, please don't ever tell anyone I did it.
Who's that crazy person trying to get me to visit that showroom? I'm never going there.
At the 3-day sale, get 50%. And I was like, oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those. Thankfully, it doesn't happen so much anymore. But there was a period where that was sort of in vogue.
Do you remember the year, or a year bracket where those were really...
Yeah, I'd say like 2010, 11, 12. Like it was a lot of radio. It was mostly for radio because radio actually you have to animate a lot more because it's just a voice, right? You're not getting visual. Well, when it's the television, you can see what's happening. You know, like the story behind it. So the voice is, guiding you. Whereas radio, that's all there is. It's a jingle or a song and your voice. So a lot of the radio ads would just be like, grab your attention. So you're you're driving or whatever you're doing. And it's like, oh, okay.
Almost crashed into that car.
Yeah. So I think radio was having a lot more. I'm not sure. I haven't done too many radio things recently. I don't know. Maybe it's still the same.
Yeah. Well, times have definitely changed. That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm curious, Maria, what is your definition of a great voiceover talent?
My definition of somebody who's a person or a...
No, what are the traits of a great, that make a great voiceover talent?
You have to be intuitive, for sure. Intuitive to other people. But I think that's with any profession in life because we all work with people. So it's kind of, making yourself understood and understanding. And transforming what you've understood into what you do best. And so, yeah, for sure that. Versatility, for sure. I think... as with anything, humility, but confidence. Now I sound like one of those directors. Yeah, humility and confidence. And I think because if you're confident, you'll be relaxed. And when you're relaxed is when you do your best, right? I think in anything you do, whether if, it's doing an exam or, having a presentation or a project due, is you're going to start making mistakes if you start... flapping and you start getting riled up. It's just like nothing good comes from that. Like absolutely nothing. Like it's, I know some people when they get stressed, they like to get worked up. It's like that's not going to help. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help the project. It's not going to help anyone else. It doesn't. Just try to relax and get into the studio when you are there. Try to do your best. Take a deep breath and then try again if it's not. And if somebody wants something else, you can just keep doing it till you get it right. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. Is there any script that you remember that is engraved in your mind that you'd like to share with our listeners and viewers today?
Ingrained in my mind. I have a few, but I was like, maybe I can't do it on here.
We're putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I think the OSN ones were pretty good. I'm trying to think. I did some I think there was that show, The Desperate Housewives.
Wow.
And then also Game of Thrones, I think, but I can't actually think of it at the top of my head.
You did a promo for Games of Thrones?
Yeah, because...
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, when they come in and it's kind of like in a fantasy land or, it wasn't quite like that, I can't remember. But they used to do all these, promos. So every time there's a show on OSN, so it's a lot of the HBO.
Yeah.
So I just do the intro, right? Or, coming next week, season 3, that kind of stuff. So I think I did one I really enjoyed. It was for OSN, and it was they used to have this Ramadan daily family movies. And during Ramadan, they would have... every day they would have this kids show, and it was just I think it was just like a very nice production. And at OSN they used to get me to do that movie voice, and so I always thought that was really fun.
Nice. A movie trailer.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was like it went like this, like, We can go on incredible adventures. We can change the world. But there's nothing like sharing time with each other. This holy month, every day at 3 p.m. KSA, only on OSN Ramadan Daily Family Movies.
Wow, that was brilliant.
So that's fun. I like doing the movie ads, because it's also usually just for men. It's always been a man, so I started to do a lot more of that.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That's awesome. Maria, thank you so much. I want to take this time to acknowledge you for all the work that you've done in the industry and for the industry. You definitely were one of the voices that helped to shape, everything we've been listening to, everything we've been seeing on TV. And I really want to acknowledge all the work you've done.
Well, thank you. I don't know if all that, but I would like to think I had a small part.
Absolutely.
But thank you. Thank you for having me. This
My
has
pleasure.
been fun. It's been lots of fun. Oh, we can do
Great.
this again. Okay, maybe I can do camera now.
Yeah, let's do season 3.
Let's do season 3.
Coming up
One
soon.
girl, one voice.
The Voices of Dubai.
And she's from Dira.
She's from there, yeah. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. That was great.
That was epic.
Good job.